what makes you excited with AI. And that can be closer to the work realm.
Most banks now communicate pretty well. Most finance brands communicate pretty clearly. It's harder to be distinctive. That's a long run up to what I'm excited about, which is I think AI can do two things. First of all, it can make you more distinctive. Whenever we come up with a tone of voice for a brand, the goal is for everyone to be able to use it. And that's not just writers, that's people who hate writing and never want to do it and feel like they're not very good at it. With AI, if you're having a lot of writing done through AI, it's able to pick up on really quite nuanced rules. So you could have your tone of voice be, everything is in iambic pentameter from now on, or every sentence has to start with a verb. You can have that level of nuance to it, and AI can pick up on it. Of course, guided by brilliant human writers. So there's that. It can help you be more distinctive, but it can also make you much more consistent because, you can rewrite huge swathes of communications in that tone of voice much faster than you could ever have done before. And so I think with those two things, AI is making tone of voice a really exciting product. It's reinventing it, and it's reinventing the way that we do it, but I think it's making it an even more powerful brand tool. And from our own experience, we work with, I can't name them, but an Australian pensions organisation. We've been working with them for a few years, and I think probably from before AI really got big. And back in the day, we set their tone of voice, and then all of a sudden, all the AI stuff happens, and you've got a way of rolling it out, which is just absolutely exponentially better than what we had before. So we've done lots of stuff with them. We've created tone of voice prompts to help them write in the tone of voice, and we've tested those prompts across different AI models, and then using those prompts to rewrite. And they've got I can't remember if we've mentioned it so far, but we have something called Definition AI, which is our own environment of different AIs, so you can get all the different models in one place. And they have their own version of that, which we've filled with these prompts so they can quickly generate on-tone writing. And more recently, we've gone a bit more technical on it, and we've been fine-tuning that model. And to the uninitiated, and I'm no expert, but fine-tuning is when you give an AI loads and loads of examples of the thing you want it to produce, and then it does every time. So you don't need to use prompts anymore. Emily's going to tell me this is completely wrong, but so we've trained it to write everything in their tone of voice.
Nick, I guess you and I don't use it for writing as much. We do use it for thinking and things like that. But what are your tips for getting it to get a better output?
I get slightly facetiously, if you want to get good writing out of AI, first be a writer and practice doing it for 20 years. And then you'll know what buttons to push, what information to put in the prompt. But honestly, that's not entirely true. You can get this advice. You can even ask the AI to play the role of a writer and tell you the sorts of things that it would want you to put into your prompt. But I guess I would say, if we're talking tangible stuff, be specific. So telling it to write in a clear way is good, but maybe give it some more specific rules about what that means. What does clear mean to you? What does warm mean to you? Whatever you want to get out of it. And give examples of what good looks like as well. One thing I do use it for a lot, because I'm quite stupid, is if I have a piece of information I don't understand because it's really technical or something, putting it into AI and saying, treat me like I'm 15 and explain this to me, that works really well for me, because it sort of strips away all the sort of assumed knowledge that a normal functioning adult would have that I lack, and sort of gives it to you straight. So that would be my quick win. Treat me like I'm 15.
Where should the AI nervous start?
If you're a writer and you're nervous and you want to use it, it can make you more productive, but you're just not sure. I think the best results that I see when getting started with AI are to use it as your kind of co-pilot or thought partner. So think about collaborating with it. Send it something that you've written and say, hey, how might someone in this department view this writing, or this kind of customer? view this writing, and see what feedback you get and use that to tweak your approach versus write me this thing and generate a letter. And the reason I say that is, and I noticed this in the comments a little bit, is that what we're reacting to as kind of readers is generated content. I think Harvard Business Review just coined a term called work slop. And work slop is when you get something that's been generated by AI and it sounds like everything else, and you start to dig into it and suddenly you realize you have no clue what it's saying. And that's usually happening when someone says, hey, write me this post to put on LinkedIn. What it's doing is it's just generating content. You haven't added anything to it. And so if you can really collaborate with AI as a tool and use it alongside your own thinking, I think you'll get more out of it.
What are your tips for getting some good writing out of AI?
For getting good writing out of AI, I do think really understanding your audience and similar to a brief, right, Alex, just to your point. When you're thinking about your audience, when you're thinking about what they care about, what do they need to know? What do you want them to do? What's the goal of this writing? That's still true for getting great writing out of AI. I do think in terms of massive scaled tone of voice programs, you will be able to use something like a prompt. Break up your content into what's the stuff that you can do, kind of a quick prompt to generate content that's good enough. And then what's the stuff that really needs to be super distinctive that you want to spend your time on? And so I do think weighing the amount of time you spend and how fast you're getting through things, really thinking that through and doing some of that planning up front is going to get you better output, and it's going to get you that output in the places where you need it most.
Obviously, we worked with you on the Tone of Voice project. As you've been rolling it out, how has AI been part of that process?
This is exactly where AI helped us a lot to just kind of master that mass of documents on one hand that we had to rewrite in every market. So we developed a specific, we call it tone of voice AI tool. Basically, you can imagine it looks like Google Translate, where on the left side, you can put in whether it's a paragraph or a sentence or even a whole document. And then kind of on the right side, if it's a paragraph, you get the same paragraph rewritten based on our kind of tone of voice framework and rules that we've developed. We've launched it in, I think, 7 different languages. For example, we're also developing it specifically together with certain markets. I think there it just, on one hand, enabled speed. It opens up the possibility or the doors for people who aren't necessarily writers themselves. Some are more familiar with languages, other maybe not. Think about claims experts, very technical people potentially. I think just having that AI tool kind of helps us a bit with that consistency and just also getting those people more onto our new tone of voice. I think now we currently are at over 5,000 documents that we've rewritten. We have it in 17 markets. I think it's a huge achievement for us, but for sure couldn't have been done without AI. We wouldn't be where we are now.
What are your tips for getting some good writing out of AI?
I think knowing your audience, for sure, I agree, is key. I think also for us, of course, it's then kind of giving more structure or details on the format you want it in. I think the more specific sometimes you can be just helps there too. I think for me personally, I had to learn that maybe not the first version, and I don't know if you agree, but the first version it spits out is necessarily then the one that you use. I think what you just said, you can interact with it. You can kind of, then tweak it further and really spend time on the part that you want to make unique, and maybe there, go a bit back and forth. I think that's the nice thing about it. It kind of picks up and kind of learns from there and goes back and forth. So I think that's for sure something else that helped me a lot.
When you have a rollout like that, what does that look like for quality control? As you say, lots of different writers with different kind of approaches using it. Is there anything that you can talk to about Zurich's kind of quality control mechanisms or anything like that around that rollout?
Yeah, I think there is an important part that maybe we haven't addressed it so much yet, but I also think it's very important is really still having the human person behind it. As part of the global rollout, we haven't just developed the tool and then kind of gave it to everybody and we're like, here you go, now you have our new framework and you can just use it and apply it. That was not how it worked. We had a lot of intensive first training sessions with writers, with people in the organization who talk to customers, to make them understand our new framework, kind of why we've changed it, where we want to go, what is really kind of the principle of our new tone of voice framework, understanding the specific writing rules we developed before then giving them the tool as an enabler. I think it is important that the people who use it, in our case specifically, understand how as a company we want to sound, because it still needs that quality control that comes out of it to make sure that it is aligned to even the cultural nuances. I mean, yes, we train it, the tool, and yes, it learns with the more and more it's been used and more inputs and everything it's given. But we definitely always say and push that it needs to have a person behind it that kind of double checks it and signs it off and make sure it gets that quality control from a human being, actually.
So I guess on this one, Danielle, I might turn to you a little bit, because obviously we did quite a big training program. We've talked about the importance of that. What kinds of things might be important in rolling out tone of voice with AI?
In our case, understanding the framework first. I think the tool is an enabler. It's an enabler to scale, to efficiency, to bringing people on board that maybe weren't as familiar or as native writers. On the other hand, also, the tool we've built, as I said, is super similar to Google Translate. So it looks, and it's in terms of navigation, how to interact with it, it's super simple. And then in our case specifically, just because we are a global company and countries are different, we also really kind of developed the tool then specifically for certain countries and their languages. So for example, in Spanish, we have different versions for the Spain Spanish team, but also then in Latin America, because there, whether it's just words that are different, that aren't the same, or whether we address the person formally or informally, might not be the same culturally. So there we really kind of developed bespoke tool versions, so to speak, together with the countries and trained the tool on how we want to sound in that specific country. So I think also for the global rollout, that was quite important. We couldn't develop something that is just a one version and that then goes for everybody. It really had to be more kind of localized.